Hi everyone, welcome to my yoga channel. My name is Meg and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do pigeon pose, or in Sanskrit, Kapotasana. This is such a good pose to stretch out through the glutes and lower back as well. I'm going to show you how to get into it correctly. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to get into it as well, an easier and a harder version. I'm going to show you a modification as well, and I'm also going to show you a couple of different variations for when you're in the pose. If you've never done a pigeon pose before, I would recommend grabbing yourself just one block. You can use two potentially if you feel really stuck. If you don't have blocks, you could use cushions, which is absolutely fine, or bolsters is another option. But yeah, just see how you go. If you don't have blocks, it doesn't mean you can't practice it at all. Just see how you go, maybe add them in if you feel like you need to. And when you're ready, we will get started. So the first way that I'm going to show you to get into your pigeon pose is coming into your pigeon pose from your tabletop. So your hands are underneath your shoulders, your knees are underneath your hips. We're going to lift up the right leg and then bend into the right knee and sit the knee behind your right hand and swing the right foot so it sits behind the left hand. You'll then walk your back knee behind. Now, the closer your front foot is in towards your body, the easier this is going to be, and the further you push the foot away. So if your foot is in, or your shin is in line with the top edge of your mat, it's going to make it harder. This is all dependent on how flexible and open your hips are, but wherever your foot is, make sure you're flexing through your front foot. Your hands are underneath your shoulders, spreading through the hands, pushing up through the hands to come into your pigeon pose. So this is the first way that you can come into your pigeon pose. The other way that you can come into your pigeon pose is a little bit harder, and it's coming in from your down dog. So you'll start in tabletop with your hands underneath your shoulders and knees underneath your hips. Flex through the toes, take the hips back towards the heels, lift the knees and lift all the way up. We're going to lift up the left leg, bend into the knee, and take the knee so it's sitting behind the left elbow. Slowly bringing the knee all the way down and swinging the foot out at the same time. So it's a similar principle to what we did before, but instead you're using more strength through your arms. Same thing again, flex through the front toe, hands are underneath the shoulders, and you're pushing up through the hands. How can we modify this from here? So if pigeon pose just feels absolutely too much, you can come into a different variation instead. So you can bend into your, we'll start with the left leg, bend into the left leg so it's facing the long edge of the mat, and then bend into your right leg so it's facing the short edge of the mat, and start to turn to face your left thigh. This is your first variation. If that feels good, let's come and do the same thing on the other side. You could bend both knees. So now your left leg is facing the opposite way. Your right leg is facing, so your shin is in line with the short edge of the mat. And again, breathing here. Opening up through the hips. If you're finding that you can get into your pigeon pose, the normal pigeon pose, absolutely fine, but you just need a little help, this is when we can use our yoga blocks. So there's two different ways that we can use the blocks. The first way is if I come into my pigeon pose and I flex through my right foot, what I can do is place the block underneath my right butt cheek, just to give my hip a little bit of support. And how does this help? Well, you want to try and push your right hip down, or your right butt cheek down into the mat, because you don't want to be rolling over onto the left hand side. We're not trying to get the hip bone down and kind of go wonky. We want to keep upright, and so that's where this block can help you, and it can also just give you a little bit of support as well. The other thing that you can use your block for is if you're up in your upright pigeon pose, hands underneath the shoulders, you can then move forwards to come into a fallen pigeon pose and come on the forearms. And what you can do here is place your block underneath and place the forearms onto the block instead. So this is how you can modify it from here. The difference between your normal pigeon pose and your fallen pigeon is that if you're in your pigeon pose, your center of gravity is coming through your hips more, so it's going to open up through your hips. If you come down onto the forearms, you have more center of gravity and it's coming forwards. You're opening up a little bit more through the glutes. So it's always worth, when you're coming into your practice, to notice whether it's your hips that are tighter or whether it's your glutes that are tighter when you come into that pigeon pose, and then working with whatever feels best. Always do the same on one side that you do on the other. Some other variations that you can do is to kind of move and open up a little bit more through the hip. So when you're up onto your hand, you can walk over, so my right leg is bent, you can walk over to the right hand side and maybe come down onto the forearms and twisting here. You can always melt over the foot as well. Doing the same on each side. You can then come up and you can actually move and come the same way. So you can then do a melt over the knee as well. Come back up onto the hands. I'm going to swap over my legs and show you a couple of other different variations that you can do. So if we come back into our pigeon pose, but this time I'm going to use the left leg. And I'm going to try and take my hands away. So this will be easier for some people than others. And maybe just start by lifting one hand and then the other. If your hips are really tight and it's too much, please do not take the hands away. But maybe you can take those hands away. Maybe you can hold onto the hands, fist to fist. Maybe grab hold of the elbows. Or maybe come into your reverse prayer hands. And if you want to work on some mobility, you can dip and come back up. Now, if you feel like having your hands behind your back is too much, you can still do this, but you can take the hands away. You can still do this, but with the hands up. And you can always just take the hands and lightly place the tips down and just start lifting and lowering to get yourself used to it. And then maybe start to take the hands away. The more you flex through your front foot, the easier it is to come down and to lift up. The last pose that I want to show you from Pigeon is your mermaid pose, which is one of my favorite poses to come into from Pigeon, but it is a little bit more of an advanced pose. So we're going to start by coming into our pigeon pose. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We'll lift up the leg and step it back and behind, coming into your pigeon pose. Flexing through your front toes. And we're going to walk the left hand into the center of your mat and bring up the back foot. This might feel enough for you to just squeeze that foot in towards the body. However, if you can grab hold of the foot, this is going to start to take you into that pose. Face the chest forwards when you're coming into your mermaid pose, so you're not turning to face the front. We want to keep those hips facing forwards. Maybe squeeze the leg in towards the body. And if you can, maybe take the foot on the inside of the arm. Left hand comes out and in front. Maybe you can connect the hands to come into your mermaid pose. And this makes it quite intense onto the front of the hip. So just do what feels best for your body. If mermaid pose feels way too much and it's just way out of your depth, don't even worry about attempting it. It's just so that I can show you where you can go from these poses and how you can add on to them and make some different variations. One thing you can do when you're in your pigeon pose, if you're not quite all the way ready to come into your mermaid pose, is just to lift up the back foot. So when you're in your pigeon pose, if you're not ready to come into a full mermaid pose, what you can do is just lift up the back foot and use your muscles to push that foot in towards you. You could also use a strap and wrap the strap around the foot and pull it in that way as well. And this is just going to help to open up through the front of the hip, but without you having to try and grab hold of the foot behind you. Even if you don't use a strap and you just use your muscles to push that or pull that foot in towards you, you're going to be using something called active flexibility, which is when you build strength through the muscle at the same time as creating flexibility. And honestly, when you're in a practice, that is one of the best things you can do. So even if you are just coming into that, it's often what I will do more than actually holding the pose and bringing the foot into the arm, because I don't need to worry so much about flexibility, but the strength is so, so handy. I hope you found some confidence and some clarity in pigeon pose, and please don't feel scared or put off by that mermaid pose at the end. Just take it one step at a time. I just wanted to show you where you could go with it in the future. This pose or this class is one of many classes that I have got going at the moment, all on a playlist. So if you're brand new to yoga, or maybe you've been doing it a long time, but you just want to get a little bit more confidence or just understand how the poses work and make sure you're doing them correctly, have a little look at that playlist and maybe you'll learn some poses that you didn't even know existed. If you've got any requests for certain poses or any questions, drop me a comment and I will try my best. There are so many, there's millions of yoga poses. So if it's a yoga pose I've never heard of or I don't feel confident in, I may not teach it, but I will always try and find someone who will be able to help you if it's a really complex pose that I cannot do myself. But anything I can do to help, I absolutely will. And any questions that you've got about different yoga poses, absolutely ask me, fire away. I really hope you enjoyed this class and I look forward to practicing with you all again soon. Thanks. Bye.